Welcome everyone. The moment I've been waiting for, my new driver, Ping G430 10.5 degree, which I've recently been fitted for again with the Fujikura Ventus Blue 5 in stiff. If you followed our YouTube channel, I had a driver fitting with Simon live on a Friday a couple of weeks ago. This is the result. My trusty driver I've decided to put into retirement and build myself a new dog. So here we go. Okay, so what we're building, I said, was a G425 Max 10.5 degree head. Simon's recommendation was measured 11 degrees. So I have actually measured this head. It isn't the standard sleeve setting, so most heads will always read true to loft or a little bit more than stated loft. So in this instance, 11 degrees is the standard loft setting. For me, I don't want to tip the shaft at all. I just want to play it straight installed to 44.5, maybe 44.75 inches and a D1. So what I'm going to do is just dry, right, I'm not tipping, so I'm going to cut to 45.5 inches and just work out head weight. Like I've always said before, always cut longer than you need, then you can double check depending on the grip weight you've got. I'm using the Golf Pride VDR 1 layer. Do excuse the compressor, that'll go off in a second. Right, so I'm going to cut to 45.5 inches and then assess where we are with head weight. Goggles. I'd already done it in preparation for this video. Okay, so I am at 45.5 inches, you can see here. Pat, if you just come into the, you can see that, 45.5 inches. Okay. Onto the swing weight scale, and it is giving me D6.5, so it'll be about D7 assembled, about 6 points per inch. Okay, I'm going to cut this to 44.75 inches and see where we are. Again, I don't want this shaft tipped, so everything is coming off the butt of the shaft. Right, 44.75 inches. We're at D2.9. Right, what I am going to do is double check the weight of the tungsten cartridge. I think this is possibly a 22-gram cartridge. If it is, it is. I don't know if you can see that, Pat. Can you see 22 grams? These, we are able to get these in different weights, so I'm thinking what I'm probably going to do is switch to a 17 gram, which will take 5 grams out the head, which will allow me to play it at the correct swing weight. I may have to do this off camera, but certainly for the purpose of this, it's just whether or not we've got one of those 17 gram ports in stock. Given it's just a head weight thing, it's not going to stop me from building the driver to 44.75, albeit heavy, but I can retrospectively change the weight. So I'm happy with that. I need to just prepare the shaft tip. hop over to the puring machine, which here's the Dodo. The Dodo needs his hat. Well, he's dead anyway. The Dodo. The Dodo is dead. So you don't need a scientist to spend 5 years to reincarnate or bring the Dodo back. I can do it in 15 minutes in the workshop here. Right. I think 5 years they said they're going to recreate the Dodo using DNA and implanting it into a pigeon. All I need is a Fujikura Ventus and a ping head. Right, why is this not on? Okay, turn the monitor on. Okay, so if you've seen these videos before, this is the SST Pure Specs shaft alignment machine, which will ensure that this shaft is analysed for its most stable orientation. We then mark that location and I will install that at 12 o'clock in the hosel. So, first part of the test is to rotate the shaft to logo up as the control test. Click next, and I'm going to put in my name. Shaft and make. Fujikura. Shaft model. Ventus 5. Flex stiff. Head. Ping. Next. Driver. Next. So Pat, if you zoom into what's happening here, the shaft is going to be deflected underneath this load cell here, and the shaft is going to roll throughout its circumference, and the load cell is measuring the force exerted up against that load cell. This will then be shown on the screen up here. It's a graph of chuck orientation versus load. So you can see there's a significantly higher peak to the left side of the graph. So that's the point at which the shaft is pushing up the most against this load cell. So most likely the shaft's most stable orientation is going to be around about that point there. But we shall see. So we test the shaft in logo up to give a before result. Okay, so we're just looking at the pattern of motion of the tip mass, which simulates a club head. We're not getting much out of plane movement, but if you look on the screen here, Pat, what we're going to start to see is this. These are basically ever decreasing circles. If you zoomed in, you'd see them. This vertical deviation is going to squeeze to a point where the machine deems this shaft pure. So we're not changing the physical characteristics of the shaft at all. Just as much that when you buy new tyres for your car's alloys, you're not changing the tyre, you're just finding out a position where the shaft is most balanced. And this will carry on testing until it can't improve anymore. I have actually forgot to put the marking tape on, but what I can do is I can put that on and remark. I would have done this as a workshop live, but given the total audience, a very small percentage actually do tune in live, I thought it would be better to record, upload into 4K, so you can watch in a far better quality. Okay, mark correctly, no. Do I have a small pen? Bear with me. Give me 2 seconds. I'll edit this bit out. ink printer is ever so slightly dried up, so I'm just making sure that line is perfectly visible. Did the shaft mark correctly? Yes, it did. Okay, so what we're going to see is a before and after. Some people say, you know, a high quality shaft, you wouldn't expect too much instability and variables from such a good shaft. Well, really, we are 177 degrees from logo up. There has been an improvement in that vertical deviation by about 48%. So where a shaft manufacturer might install the shaft logo up, this is going to be logo down. Some manufacturers do install them logo down. A lot of manufacturers also have a logo that allows you to put the shaft in any orientation and you see the logo in any of its installation positions. So I can take the tip mass off. Hit next. I'm going to move over to the assembly. So we use a two-part structural adhesive made by 3M. I use a little bit of sand as alignment beads, and then I'm just going to mix the adhesive up. The working time of this adhesive in room temperature conditions is about 10 minutes. Winter time possibly 15. Summertime probably less than 5 minutes. And I'd say this product is hittable and reaches about 80% of its shear strength within half an hour. Okay, here's my driver head. Let me just grab a soft ferrule. So I'm just going to wet the ferrule. I use minimal adhesive. You really don't want much adhesive going up the inside of the shaft. Remember that if adhesive goes up the inside of the shaft past the top of the ferrule, the top of the hosel, it can create a shear point, which is the very last thing we want. Okay, you can see my alignment mark there is going to be at 12 o'clock. Wipe off the excess adhesive. So we can just get a guess as to what the swing weight is going to be before I change the head weight. We're at D3.2. I want that to come down to D1 minimum. So all I'm going to do, it's going to be, you get to a point where what's more important, swing weight or length? 1/8 of an inch here or there really makes no difference to performance whatsoever. So what I'm going to try and do is cut to swing weight, because I know I'm going to be around the 44.5, 44 3/4 playing length. For me, swing weight is far more important than that 1/4 inch. So we are going to let this driver dry, and I'll be back to you in a few minutes. Okay, so the driver has now dried, and the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice I'm wearing a different colour top. That's because somebody forgot about parent-teacher consultations last night. So this is the morning after. The driver has definitely now dried. I'm just going to dry assemble on the scale with my grip Golf Pride VDR. I'm only going 1 layer of tape. The scale here says D3.2. So with 1 layer of tape, it's going to be about the same, maybe D3.1. For me, D3 is too heavy, but given this is an exhibition of fit then build, I'm going to leave this heavy at D3 and 44 3/4 just to show you how the correct head and shaft at the wrong swing weight will not perform as anticipated. I experienced this with my last driver where I didn't factor in swing weight. I took a couple of grams out the head and the difference in performance was night and day. Simon's recommendation for this driver was D1. So by removing approximately 4 or 5 grams out the head, that'll drop the swing weight, but we can do that with the rear cartridge on the head. So let's move to the gripping station. Okay, so I hold the top of the shaft to the white lines at the top of the grip and just mark with my thumb to the bottom white lines. This way I can take off the perfect amount of tape. Rolling the grip to the middle to ensure there's no creases. Pop the excess grip tape in the top of the shaft. Get the correct amount of pressure on the shaft. Finger on the hole in the end of the grip to stop the solution coming out. A quick shake. Tip the excess. How am I going to have this? I'm going to have this. It'll have this grip logo up. Okay. Grip goes past the grip tape and then I retract it just a little bit to ensure a consistent grip thickness. Okay. Wiping off the excess solution at the top and the bottom. Right. I'm now going to just align the top of the grip and the bottom of the grip and the Golf Pride logo so it runs down the middle of the shaft. Noting that I'm holding the face square, if I rest the face on the floor, it sits open. If I was to align the grip at 12 o'clock with an open face, when it came to gripping the club, the face would be shut, and that's what you call a shut grip. A shut grip is when you align the face and the face is closed, or an open grip is when you align the face and the face is open. So I'm holding the face in a square position and aligning the grip. Okay, remove the SST Pure installation tape. Let's pop it back on the scale. Bear with me. Always making sure the grip cap is all the way down. Okay, we're at D3.1, D3. So that's exactly what we suspected. So next up will be me in the fitting bay with Simon, testing the performance of the driver. As I said, it's highly likely going to be swinging too heavy for me. We'll take some weight out the head, and then this will be hopefully back in the bag and my new Dodo.